Where reality comes to play, the Perception Theory podcast, triggering the woke little snowflakes in 3, 2, 1.
How dare you disrespect me, your country, and your mama?
Get ready to have some reason and common sense hammered into your pathetically thick skulls. Here are Evil Ed and Uncle Reap, your hosts for the Perception Theory podcast.
Hey,
What up? What up?
what's going on, peeps?
I love that intro.
I do too. Your pathetically thick skulls. That's why you need it hammered into your pathetically thick skulls.
Yeah, boy. All right. Well, I guess some housekeeping. If you guys didn't notice, the Neanderthals show didn't quite make it to the the YouTube. It kind of fell onto the cutting room floor. We had a great show.
We had a great show, amazing show.
It's a shame you could not have heard anything, but you would have seen us talking. So, yeah. Whoopsies.
Dumbass forgot to unmute the mics, so we did a whole show with no sound.
No.
You would have saw us talking for an hour, but you wouldn't have heard shit.
I wish we could have went back and dubbed it with like one of those bad kung fu movies.
Yeah, that would have been
Wouldn't
fun.
that have been great?
But yeah, I completely fucked that royally.
That's all right.
So then we're gonna do it through the week and do it remotely. Edit his place and me at mine, and just I don't know. Man, it just you know how life gets busy and and it just wasn't working out. So we just said we'll record today, and I swear we'll record today with sound.
Ooh, I wonder if we could do the recording from last week and then we could dub it in.
You could try to. But anyway, well, especially at the end when I after we kind of went off air, and I saw that I had muted it. We could fill those in, but there were some F-bombs and all kind of shit. My bad.
That's all right. So hopefully you'll see the new and improved show dropping Thursday. Maybe, as long as we record it with sound. I think this time if we forget the sound, let's just send it out.
I guess
there.
it just wasn't meant to be.
You guys can try to lip read.
Yep. So Ed's got today. So we got instead of
Oh yeah,
beef sticks, we got flank steak jerky.
yeah. So
It's better than beef sticks.
I've been a little busy lately, with all this Doge stuff going on. So I've been flying around to the United States, through the United States, to different Tesla dealers, and burning Tesla dealerships down and spray painting things and scratching things on the sides of Tesla. So
You got something against Tesla?
I don't, but apparently there's a lot of people that do.
There is, and it really has to do with Elon, and but we're going to get into that because, well, we'll get into why that they have such an issue with Musk, and we'll get into that. But since we're talking about nutbags, let's start off with a couple of celebrities. So there's a couple of celebrities that have, in a sign of solidarity and in opposition to Musk, they've decided to get rid of their.
Oh God!
They decided to get rid of their freaking Teslas.
Which cracks me up.
It just cracked me up because remember, these are the damn celebrities who were so about the environment and electric cars.
Yeah.
But now they sold them. So it's like, okay, really, where did you stand? So there's a couple, and then is like Senator Mark Kelly, a Democrat from Arizona. He went off the deep end with his shit. He was just ranting and raving about his. And it's like, all right, Jason Bateman's another one. Who gives a shit? Sheryl Crow, who I still think for her age, man, I still think she's hot. But She's out there.
She gone.
And Joanne Wilson, she's a investor into like women's businesses, women, she kind of invests in movies and stuff for women and stuff like that. She gave hers away too.
Lord have mercy. Mega Dog.
What's up, Mega? Now there's some celebrities that are still driving it. Ed, what are some? Just maybe take a handful or out of there. Because there's some celebrities that are still driving it, are still driving the Teslas, and haven't really jumped on the
I'm getting rid of it.
Yeah.
So we've got Cameron Diaz, Stephen Colbert, which is actually kind of shocking, Zoe Deschanel, Shakira, Joe Rogan, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Steven Spielberg will probably end up making a movie out of this shit.
And one of his daughters going to be in the back seat doing porno.
Yeah. And then you've got Morgan Freeman. I love my car. And then you've got Seth Green, Jeremy Renner, John Favreau. Good for him. Demi Moore, Tony Hawk, my man, and George Clooney. All have decided to keep their Teslas.
At least for now.
For now.
Who knows? Who knows if they want to jump on the Elon Musk hating bandwagon.
That's right.
And speaking of that, so I remember I used to watch a show with this girl and now woman on it, and she was cute then and whatever, and then she became a woman, and I thought she was hot, but I can tell you from almost day one that she became a woman and started getting it. She's probably one of the worst nutbags on the planet with this freaking woke bullshit, whatever. So don't forget about our podcast. It will be out next Thursday
With audio.
with sound. All right, but so here we go. We got Alyssa Milano's who I'm talking about, and I still think she's attractive, but man, she's batshit crazy.
I think all the neurons from her brain have actually gone to her skin and have dissipated from up there.
Something. So she wrote back. She gave back her Tesla and bought a VW. She goes, I love it. I'm not sure how advertisers can buy space on Twitter, and this is after Musk had already bought it and whatever. I think this was right before he turned it into X, but he had bought Twitter. Publicly traded company products being pushed in alignment with hate and white supremacy doesn't seem to be a winning business model. And again, this is coming from the girl that bought a VW, which was actually started by the Nazis and Hitler. Not saying it's a Nazi company, but I'm just saying they do have a history, and that's what you decided to buy.
The People's Wagon.
Speaking of which, I did see, and it's the first one I've seen, I did see the new, and it's electric, which I'm
It's electric boogie woogie woogie.
but it is the new van.
Dude, that thing's cool. It's a little teeny tiny, but it is kind of cool.
It's almost like a what was that? It's bigger. Remember Nissan had the Cube.
Yes.
It kind of looks like that. Well, it looks better, but it's kind of like that. But it's bigger.
Yeah,
but it's not like huge. Like it's not like a big van.
Yeah, I don't think you and I would sit too well beside each other in one of those.
Probably not.
Yeah, we could wear it as a Halloween costume.
It's probably got plenty of leg room, but probably our width wouldn't work out so well.
Our girth.
So so what else we got going on with these radical liberals there, Ed?
These crazy people. So I was watching a couple of videos that are actually pretty funny. So many Tesla former owners are dumping their cars. So there was one guy that said he was tired of being attacked. Not him personally, but the car. People are giving the Heil Hitler salute to the owners.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I know it has to do with some stuff. But, they do realize Elon Musk is like South African.
Right.
I don't know if they know that.
Well,
I don't think he's German.
They don't do their research.
Oh.
So there were owners that were being targeted because they drive a Tesla. One guy, I think he was a nutritionist or something. So his was all painted yellow and had his logo and everything on the front. People were calling him and like threatening him, telling him to take that yellow Tesla and up his rear.
Oh, That's not very nice.
No, it wasn't nice. And then there were some owners that felt liberated by getting rid of their Tesla.
I mean, they weren't liberated. They didn't feel liberated when they were driving it around.
No.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then
I know what they were liberated from.
That's right.
Their damn wallet when they dropped a freaking $90,000 on the damn thing.
My God. And then some of them have sold their cars for huge losses, and I'm talking like thousands, like tens of thousands, which I find is funny. I mean, because if you think about it, I go out and I buy a Tesla. I keep it for a week, and then I finally wake up, and then I see the news with Doge and Elon Musk and everything, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck him, and fuck this car.
Fuck it.
So I beat the shit out of it, running off a bridge at high speed. I still own the car, and I still have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you prove?
And if you wanted to get something different, well, guess what? Your insurance just went through the freaking roof because now you got to replace a Tesla.
Right. Well, not only on top of that, but, and for some of us that can't, afford to buy a $90,000 car from pocket change, you're going to go upside down. So now that new toasty Volkswagen that you got with the heated seats is a little overpriced.
Little bit.
I thought that was the funniest thing when I started seeing these reports, because it's like you still paid for it.
I love liberals because they have no sense of common sense. They have no sense of any sense, common sense or otherwise, and they get all upset and radical, and then they start like effing their stuff up and stuff, and then they just don't get anywhere in life.
Right.
I'm like,
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, they could do it like, Megadeth says, driving in reverse, and that way.
That's right.
You're not really probably get fined for cleaning up. Yeah.
Well, it's environmentally safe, right?
Yeah. Well, especially if that son of a bitch catches on fire. Jeez, a criminy. Because I did watch a video where where some of these people were lighting the dealerships and the cars on fire and all this stuff. And I saw them, and these the firefighters came in, and it took them forever to take that or put out the fire, because once you get those batteries, it's not like just a regular little car battery.
Right.
The whole bottom section, the whole bottom footprint of that car is batteries. Huge.
I just think it's funny. Like, where am I? Over here. Like, if you look at this picture, 99.9% of people that can afford to buy a Tesla actually have a security system around their home. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the dealerships and stuff like that. So how many people do you think are really going to get caught, or I should say not get caught, by pulling this stuff off?
Yeah. Well, plus the Tesla itself has cameras all over it.
Right.
So if that survives at least enough to where they can pull the footage, so you get that. So they're going to catch you no matter, you're going to get popped no matter what. It's so stupid.
Dumbass. So now you get destruction of property.
Yep. And so the thing is, not only are they attacking the Teslas, the vehicles. So here was one of the power stations from Tesla, or for the Tesla factory, and they firebombed that son of a bitch. I guess what the thing about it is, if you have a stance about something that you believe in, I'm all for that. Okay, but if you're willing to go to jail for something stupid like that. Now, I'm not talking about like human trafficking or fitting all the drugs and trying to keep the drugs out of your neighborhood or city, and maybe you get in a fight or a gun battle with some drug dealers and you end up going to jail for it or something, but you're trying to keep it out of your. I see, that you might be, you might have a little bit of respect for, but just lighting shit on fire and you're willing to go to jail for that shit?
Well, I think the funny part about it is, how many people do you think that are current Tesla owners are out there protesting at all the Tesla dealerships?
I'd say zero.
Exactly. So, yeah.
These dumbass kids. So now it's probably the same ones that went from protesting Israel and being pro-Hamas. Now they're like, oh, okay, now we're going to jump on the Musk Musk hating bandwagon. It's like, and it's funny because I had a video where they had somebody in front of a Tesla dealership. Now he wasn't being destructive,
Right.
but he had a sign and said, Musk is I think he said Musk is a Nazi or this and the other or something to that effect, and he's doing something about taking jobs away, blah blah blah. So the guy asked him. He kind of was posing as another, what do you call it, protester. And he's like, yeah, but he's like, yeah, you getting paid for this one? And he's like, yeah, of course I'm getting paid.
Paid by who?
So
Chevy?
So they're actually getting paid. So there's actually these groups that are, a lot of them, like the whole, like back in the
Black Lives Matter,
back
all
whatever,
over again.
George Soros was having. Now he funneled this through Media Matters and some other
Right.
things, but they were paying them to disrupt and cause chaos. So they asked, he's like, yeah, you get paid for this one? He's like, yeah, I'm getting paid for this one. And it's like, so a lot of these protesters or these protesters that you see, probably not the ones that are doing the destructive stuff,
Right.
but the ones that you actually do see protesting actually are getting paid for it.
So what do you do for a living? I piss people off. No, really, what do you do for a living?
Yeah, no, I get paid to fuck people over, be an asshole, cause disruption.
And there you have it. Merry Christmas.
There you have it.
So one of the other things, Trump has now declared violence against the Tesla dealers as domestic terrorism, and I think I worded that incorrectly. So any type of disturbances or anything like that, like damage to the Tesla dealers or their cars like that, are actually considered domestic terrorism, which I thought was interesting. But I think the joke with driving one of the new, was it Model Y Teslas up to the White House, I think Trump bought one or something.
He bought
like that.
two.
Yeah. That went over like a lead balloon.
He bought two of them. Said, "F you, I'm buying two of them." Kiss my ass. Not that he's gonna be driving them.
No.
But he bought two of them.
He bought two. The other thing is that stocks have tanked since January, since Trump took office for the Tesla by 50%, which people are saying that, they're not going to make it back. The company's going to fold.
I mean, he's got SpaceX. They just launched a successful rocket, so to get the astronauts back. So I mean, yeah, Elon's got he's got stuff over here, have stuff over here. He don't give a shit. He's like, I don't give a kiss my ass.
Sons of bitches.
Sons of bitches. So the issue, part of the issue that a lot of these people have is they have an issue with Elon. They see Elon Musk as a threat. Well, especially because he's going through Doge and looking for waste. Although I've seen many videos of Obama talking about government waste and they need to get rid of it, and even Biden when he was in Congress,
right,
was talking about waste, and you had Chuck Schumer talking about waste and everything else. But then now that we're actually doing it,
right now, Chucky caved. That was a good one.
Yeah, Chuck Schumer's such a piece of shit. I cannot stand him. Ugh.
Well, it's a bad bill, but yeah, I'm gonna sign it.
It's like, that's because they're like, hey, we did basically this perfect bills, but they're kind of touting it. It's like, oh, you're not gonna sign it?
Yeah.
You're gonna shut down everything, and he couldn't do it.
AOC lost their shit on that one.
Why do they keep voting her in?
I don't know.
She is dumb as a bag. She has totally screwed her district in New York. She has screwed it royally, and they still vote her in. I'm like, that right there tells me the mindset of a Democrat.
Right.
Or I would say most Democrats. Nancy Pelosi, they keep voting her in. All these jackasses who have let their districts go to complete shit, they still vote them in.
Well,
and it's like,
yeah, but they're somehow multi-millionaires.
Yeah,
they're making money.
Nancy Pelosi has been in government for forever. And even back in the day, they were probably making like $50,000 or whatever. Now she's worth like 200 and some or 300 and some $1 million on a government salary.
Gotta love it.
It's all that insider trading shit. So the thing about it is that one of the reasons that why they have a problem with Musk is because they're saying, well, he's not an elected official, and therefore he shouldn't be able, and he can't do like all these things where he's suggesting or he has access to all these documents and whatnot. And it was funny. So, Ed and I kind of thought about it and like, So he's not an elected official, but yet he has power, at least in suggestions or advice, advisement to the government. And we're thinking, I wonder if that's ever happened before this. It can't. There's no way that has happened before.
Why?
And, here we go. Dr. Anthony Fauci, who shut down the whole mother effing country. People lost jobs. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people lost jobs. Kids, their education went so far backwards, they don't think they will ever recover, at least fully. They had children. Ooh, that was weird. See that?
What just happened?
That went like, bloop. You had children that were being abused. They stayed at home, so they were right there with their abusers. They couldn't go and get reported, because teachers are what they call what do you call them?
Babysitters?
Well, they're called reporters, but they're I forget what they call it. Mandatory reporters. So if teachers have any idea or any inkling that there's abuse going on, they're required by law to report it, right? So then you had all these kids. So it's like, whatever. In case you guys didn't know, this guy was never voted in. He was appointed. Okay, he's appointed and they were following his lead, and he's the one that said this and that. And of course, it's funny that how they caught him, and he's like, "Well, I never said this shut down the country," and they've had him 50 million times where he said, "Yeah, I told them they need to shut it down so we can curb this thing." It's like you did.
Well, I guess my retort to that is then if you're so innocent, why did Biden pre-pardon you?
Yeah. I wonder why that is. So that right there, and this man has damaged this country to an extent that I don't know if we'll ever get completely back from it. And again, not a voted official. He wasn't voted in. All right. So that's probably all there is. It can't be anybody else. Oh, man, Miss Valerie Jarrett. Now, if anybody doesn't know who this is, well, then you're probably sleeping during the whole Obama administration. Valerie Jarrett, who's a advisor and was appointed to his senior advisory committee, Barack Obama, she sat on his advisory committee for his whole term and then was decided, that she would go to Biden and they would utilize her service for Biden. In case you guys didn't really know, this is who was running the Biden administration for the most part. Her and Obama were running the whole. He was wanted in other countries before it even started.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, no shit. But she was running the country. And did you see the report that they just came out with, where they were looking at at least for the last, I think it was like within the last year of Biden's presidency, and they were looking at his executive orders and bills that he signed, and they compared that to his regular signature.
Oh, shit.
And they're off.
Probably didn't even remember what the hell he was saying.
Right. So they're saying, well, I mean, could it be because he's a little bit not whatever? And they're like, well, no, not to this extent. It is obvious that somebody else forged his signature. Now, if this comes out that happened, you have people, and we don't know who at this time. So that means you have people forging presidential documents, not even official documents, presidential, executive orders, this, that, and the other. So yeah. So Miss Valerie Jarrett. So she was with Barack Obama now, and then she was with Biden. And funny enough, that Laura Jarrett, her daughter, was a reporter for CNN, is now a legal correspondent for NBC News and co-anchor of the Saturday edition of Today. So we are actually make it electronic signature. It's a DocuSign. So so we're pretty comfortable that her daughter's not, influencing, how the news is reported and any of that stuff, right?
Right. Do what mommy tells you.
Do it, mommy. Oh, let's see. That's probably it. No, oh, here we go.
It reminds me of one of the what the hell was the name of that show? It was a pissed off eagle that was dressed up in a
the Muppets.
suit. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Eagles. Yeah. John Brennan, director of the CIA during the Obama administration. He wasn't elected. He was appointed, and not only was he one of the cover-ups and the signers of the quote unquote Russian, we call it Russian hoax, but it's Russian disinformation. So he signed this letter that he said, and he was the director of the CIA, that said that the Hunter laptop and all this other stuff and his involvements with Burisma and this and the other was all Russian disinformation. And he signed a letter along with some other people. Now, remember, he's the head. He's the director of CIA. You have all the intel information at your fingertips. And he signs this letter, which turns out that no, you were wrong. And now people is like, well, how soon did you know that you were wrong? Well, they know they signed it without having all the evidence. They knew that. So you had this piece of shit. And, let's see. What another one? Then we had James Clapper.
Oh, my God. Does he even have his teeth in?
I think he's just an old bitter bastard.
Oh, my God. Paint him green. He looks like Yoda.
I know. And here, again, director of DNI, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, which oversees, the DNI oversees NSA, CIA, NGA, NRO, all these. They oversees. Another piece of shit that signed
Kilroy. Nice.
He does look like him. Here's another piece of shit that, again, signed the paper without evidence that it was Russian disinformation, and also had multiple, just like Brennan, had multiple interviews with the media, steering him away from Hunter and all this other shit.
Don't look over there.
Don't look over there.
Look over here.
Knowing that they had no information for that. So another about, and guess what? Guess what? He wasn't voted in. He was appointed.
Where did he come from?
As an Obama appointee. So there you go. They're bitching about Elon Musk not being an elected official. Well,
it's because of Trump.
Yep, guess so.
Let's hate Trump. So one of the things that I'm quoting from here was Kevin O'Leary. It was on CNN. He stated that Musk has put himself out there almost like an ant under a microscope, which I thought was a very good terminology on that one, because he has put himself out there,
And let me just ask you, what do you think, realistically, because so we're seeing ramifications of this, and Musk is a very, 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 very smart man. So he had to have known this would at least be part of the ramifications, consequences. So why do you think? Oh yeah, sorry. Oh, sorry, Dutch.
Yeah.
We keep forgetting we're supposed to be getting rid of the damn daylight savings time. Sorry about that.
This has been going on for the past 70 years, I think they were talking about.
They're supposed to be getting rid of it. But anyway, knowing that Elon Musk was putting himself out there, now, he's already a multi-billionaire. Okay, we're talking about his, Tesla's stock tanking, by 50%. He's been, kind of in the crosshairs of people complaining and protesting against him. What does he actually have to gain?
He's got nothing to gain. He's actually got more to lose. I mean, if you think about it, his companies have government contracts.
Correct.
So, that right there kind of puts a spotlight on him, because let's say you decide to get rid of all these other things, but yet your stuff still sticks. How is that possible?
Yeah. So it's like, and the thing about it is he already has these. So he has the contract with NASA.
Right.
Nobody else has the contracts for the rockets and stuff. Nobody else.
Right. Well, Boeing tried.
They tried, and they failed miserably. But the point is, so he's not trying to get above the competition.
Correct.
But yet he's still out there doing this, and it's like, well, he's got everything to lose and nothing to gain.
Right.
So the same as Trump. Now, people say Trump is because he's an egomaniac, and that's why he does it. But Trump's got enough money. He doesn't need it. He's not making any money by being the president.
Right. He donates his money, right?
He donates his money. So again, what is his gain by this? And, Elon Musk is, he does have an ego too, like that. But again, that is not enough for all the shit that you're taking.
Right.
So what's his gain? What's his?
I don't know. I kind of look at this as reality versus perception. Okay. So the reality is that Elon Musk was elected to come in and find out the deficiencies, the fraud, those types of things within the government, overspending, overemployment. So that's the reality. The perception of it is that, he's coming in here to fire people that work hard and show up every day, and he's trying to spend all our money and all this other stuff. So that's the perception. But there's the Trumpers that are all in the reality aspect, but then you have the liberals and the Democrats that are in the perspective.
Yeah, and it's like they were talking about how he was like banging on or telling the people that were at home, a lot of people at home, that they needed to come to work.
Right.
So here's the deal. So here's a funny little conundrum for you. Okay. So you had basically 75% of the workforce. That's maybe a little bit. Maybe like 65%. It was an overwhelming number, more than half. Say people in commerce, FDA, and a bunch of other IRS. You had a bunch of these people that were at home, quote unquote, at home working, right? Now, at the time, you had, just dozens and dozens of federal buildings that were sitting empty. And oh, by the way, we the taxpayers were spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to lease these buildings with nobody in them.
You got to heat them or air condition them.
That too.
You got to have the electricity come in.
So you got the lease, you got electricity, you got the heat, cooling, with nobody in there.
Right.
Now, one would say, okay, well, if I'm a manager, like the upper level manager, and I see that, what I want to say, since we had the people at home, maybe we can, consolidate some of these buildings. Let's get rid of the leases and this, that, and the other. And then we'll just maybe, get down to maybe a couple buildings instead of like a dozen or 20 or whatever. But then here's the point. Here's the problem. If I do that, then guess what they're going to do? They're going to take those lease facility funds and electricity stuff. They're going to pull that out of my budget. Therefore, I'm not going to have that budget next year. So I'm going to lose money. Well, I can't lose money because part of what I do is based on, number one, how many people I have, and this is how the government works. It's how, as far as me as a government manager, my what do you call it? advancements and this and the others is based, especially as a manager, is based on how big of a budget I have and how many people that are under me that I manage. So if you take away my budget or a significant part of my budget, then I lose part of what I'm managing. So therefore, I'm not as quote unquote, at least perception of valuable. Therefore, I'm going to be in a big pool of people waiting to get promoted. You see? And that, my friend, is why they don't say anything about it. And meanwhile, we're spending, like I said, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars for empty buildings.
Yeah, because I thought at one point in time they were trying to do like a requirement, like you have to come into the office at least like once or twice a week or something like that in order to justify the fact of these buildings.
Well, even then, if 75% of the time they're not in there, that still doesn't, to me, that doesn't still, I mean, that's what they were trying to do.
Sure.
Still doesn't justify the fact that I'm spending, I forget what it's hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in empty buildings.
Gotta love it.
And do you really think, Ed, that all these people that are at home, I don't even have to get out of my pajamas. I just got to log in to my network or whatever, and there's nothing really, we don't have anything that monitors that they're online, that they're actually working in there. So do you really think all these people are really just nose to the grindstone at home, just busting their ass?
Well, if you have a VPN, all they can do is see that you logged in. They can't tell from where or anything else.
So I can just get up, get my coffee, or as my coffee's brewing, I'll log in, and then I'm going to watch The Price is Right and my stories.
Gotta watch the stories.
Young and the Restless.
That's right. I think they're more restless than they are young anymore. Did you see the cast of them? Oh, my God.
Yeah. And then I log back off at 4 o'clock or whatever it is. Workday. Complete.
God bless.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I got some interesting news. Again, it's all out there. You can look for it yourself.
You can.
So the government spends over $270 billion a year on payroll. So the American federal government, now this has nothing to do with the states, not the state government, this is all federal, is the largest employer of the world if you go by head count. Not by money spent, but by head count. That is insane.
I believe it.
So, I mean, like, how many people do you really need to do these jobs?
Like I said, go flat tax. You could take probably 90% of the IRS.
Well, a lot of that stuff,
You get rid of them.
if that's the case, then a lot of the states can handle that in their own jurisdictions.
They could.
But we need to keep spending that money.
And you could actually spend the money or invest that money into the states,
Right.
for them to have a little bit more of a system where they're kind of taking better control or better,
Absolutely.
or performing better business for the state itself,
Right.
instead of like just chucking that stuff up to the government, like Department of Education.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah,
Did you watch that?
I did. Especially what's her name?
Oh, my God.
What's her name? Randy Gardner from the
I'm-
Teachers Union.
I'm just upset. I'm really frustrated.
She got schooled. So, yeah, some pretty interesting stuff. And then we have to bring up the email. The email.
Email.
So I'm sure everybody's heard of the email that went out there, that it was 5 bullet points that when you responded, you had to CC your manager 5 bullet points of what you did for your job last week. So okay. So basically this was just a baseline.
Yep.
This was something that Doge threw out there as a minimum baseline, and I think many, many people got caught hook, line, and sinker. This is exactly what they had planned to do. So the reason for the email, the first thing is that they wanted to make sure that the people that they're paying, they called it a pulse check. So they wanted to make sure that the people that they're paying are actually there.
Yes.
So that was the biggest thing behind this email. So they wanted to double check to make sure that they were real people and that they weren't dead.
You mean like all the people we keep
Paying
sending
Social
checks
Security
to?
to?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then with that being said, if they're not real people or if they are dead, sorry for them, who's collecting the paychecks in this case? Somebody's got to be cashing them.
Probably the same ones who were cashing the Social Security checks.
Good God.
Because even they had a bunch of Democrats saying, there's no way that's happening because if they're dead, they're not cashing the checks.
Well, somebody is.
Somebody is, you dumbass.
Aunt Jane.
Yeah, the family members or whoever.
Absolutely.
Idiots. Anyway.
And again, this was in Elon Musk's terminology, it was a low bar response. The absolute bare minimum that these people had to do, which is funny because a lot of it, like I want to say it was over 1 million employees didn't even respond to the email.
Imagine that.
Yeah. So,
especially when you're getting paid, $100,000, $120,000, $150,000 a year.
Right.
And all I'm asking you is for 5 things.
And you can't.
I could do that blindfolded.
Right.
I could tell you 5,000 things I did last week in my job, but these people couldn't come up with.
So the other clip that I caught on YouTube was another good one. Anna Navarro. I don't know.
I hate that skank.
Here we go. Drink it up. So she had a panel of people on her show, and the thing that she stated was that she would like to see more compassion from Trump and Musk when they're letting these people go. So,
would she want a handwritten card from each of them?
Well, she was saying that there are some good workers that would not respond to this email, and that the people that did respond to the email are bad workers. That's why they couldn't come up with the 5 bullet points on what to do.
Oh, what?
Oh, yeah.
So the ones that responded are actually bad workers.
Some of the bad workers.
The ones that are there are a bunch of them that didn't respond, that did not respond, are the good workers.
They are the good workers. Because why should I respond to something? I know what I do. I can justify what I do. I work hard.
I mean, so the thing is, where I work, we actually have to, every month, we have to submit a summary of what we did on this contract that I'm on. We have to do that every month. Contractors, not the staff,
right? But
the contractors do, and we do it every month, right? And you have to outline each week of what you've done, and that's something we had to do this way before Musk and whatever came along. But yet you want 5 things from these jackasses, and they couldn't give you 5.
No, half of them couldn't even respond. Gotta love it.
Gotta love it.
Gotta love it.
And Anna Navarro, she's one to talk about anybody.
She's another one that needs to go by.
She does.
They need to put her on The View and then cancel The View.
Yes. Make a dog. My content has value.
Yes. So, yeah, some of the other things that were out there is another good video. Representative Larson, I mean, this guy went ballistic. Did you see this one?
I don't think so. He
was saying that he called out Musk because he wants to privatize Medicare and Medicaid. Elon Musk wants to privatize it, so it would become a business.
So that way I can actually know exactly what I'm putting in, and that you're not actually taking my shit and giving it to somebody else.
Right. They're taking it away from the government. This is what Representative I mean, this guy was livid. I mean, livid. I thought he was going to have a heart attack, but he's not that old. Yeah, so the way that this was broken down, which I thought was a great analogy. So someone breaks into your house and Musk reviews the tape to see who it was, but he won't let you see the video. So someone breaks into your house. You have a security system. You got a video camera system set up. So Musk goes in and he reviews the video, the security video of who broke into your house. So he can tell you who broke into your house, but you're not going to be able to see that video. That's what this representative Larson was.
So that's what Larson was saying.
Yes.
Well, I guess we can let you guys kind of work it out on your own. Oh, that hasn't happened in a century or more than that.
Right.
See, and here's my thing is, now that we're on this, remember how they kept saying, or I think Ian Navarro even said it or whatever, where they said, well, you just get the sweeping thing and, you need to kind of look at this and it needs to be whatever. So what you're saying is, you're going to go through this process. If we did it the way everybody else wants it, so you're going to go through this process of, you're going to go to a manager and say, okay, hey, I need you to evaluate all of your employees. Excuse me. And if you feel that a percentage of them are not up to task or not up to snuff, then you need to send us a list of who those are, that those people can be fired.
Correct.
Knowing that, number one, that hasn't happened in forever. Number two, we're talking about government employees.
Right. Who cannot be fired. And who, so many of them have been promoted because of bad performance. Yeah. I don't want you in my department, so
I'm going to promote you and get you out somewhere else. So people really think that if we just did some kind of but some kind of a legislative bill that says, hey, all government managers, I need you to evaluate your employees and this, that, and the other. Now, guess who they're probably going to get? Plus, guess who they're probably going to get on guess whose names are going to go on the list to get fired? Probably the ones that are working hard, who still won't cover your ass,
right,
because you've been effing off, and I'm doing your job. And oh, by the way, I'm gonna keep the good people off the list, or not the good people, but
favorites,
the shitty people,
yeah,
because they're gonna cover my ass.
Right.
So I'm the hard workers and the ones that are busting their ass and the ones that are really, those are the ones I'm gonna put on the list, and then I'm gonna keep my little empire and everything else.
Right.
That's what's gonna happen, and that's what would happen. And not to mention, if it did happen, it would take freaking decades, and those people would be retired and gone before it ever happened.
Right. Well, I mean, the other thing too that was brought up is, with all the so-called firings, a lot of the people that took the buyout.
Yeah, it was the early retirement buyout. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So these people are lumped in there as well. So when you look at the numbers, it's kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe all the people that were fired. But with that being said, there was a lot of people that decided to go with the buyout.
Yes. And
they're all lumped in on these same exact numbers.
And the government agency that I work for, we have not had not one what we call a venturer who's kind of comes in as they're kind of like a mid-career hire.
Right.
So they were the commercial company, they come into to work for the government, and they call them venturers because they're going into different, groups and branches and directors to kind of see how things operate and to see what they might want to do or what department or group they might want to work in. You had them. You had the people that are on probation, which are new employees,
right,
and stuff. Not one person from my agency has been fired.
They're out to get you.
Yeah, but yeah, they're out to get you. So, they're firing people. Now there have been some people that have been fired from certain agencies, right? And a lot of them were fired because they did not comply,
right,
with anything that they've been asking for.
Right, that low bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, law of averages is you got rid of people. I am 100% sure that there were some really good, hardworking people that were let go because of the amount of time that they weren't in, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to happen.
But these would have been if we would have done a process.
Right.
These are still the people that would have got whacked.
Exactly.
If you would have had the managers actually decide who stays and who goes.
Right. Right.
So it's the same outcome.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, you probably even get some tenured good workers that would have got fired because of the shitty managers.
Exactly. Exactly. So, gotta love it. So with that being said, I caught another one with Representative Bean.
Mr. Bean?
Mr. Bean. He uncovered $135 billion in unemployment insurance fraud. So this all went down when we went through COVID, which we just talked about, and people were getting the checks.
Yeah, and they didn't think there's going to be any kind of fraud or any kind of, what do you call it? And they didn't think there was going to be any issues with accountability on that shit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, moving on. We all know about, what the hell's his name? Patel.
Oh, Cash?
Yes, Cash
Patel.
Patel. So, he's been doing some digging, and they were actually looking at something else before something else was discovered. I think it was Maurice Hill was being looked at into like fraud, like big time fraud. Well, his wife, who happens to be the Customs and Border Control Director, Serena Baker Hill, was caught by making fraudulent claims during the flooding of Detroit in 9 Michigan, or I'm sorry. So she was caught during the flooding of Detroit. And that was like, what, 2 years ago? A year ago, 2 years ago? So FEMA sent out these, it's an assistance program for affected homes that were considered unlivable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, that's probably most of Detroit before the flood anyway.
Oh, boy. So with that being said, it wasn't all of Michigan. It was 9 districts that were in Michigan. So it just so happens that Serena Baker Hill and her husband, Maurice Hill, applied for these. Now, what the program was designed to pay for was temporary housing. Again, keep in mind, this is unlivable conditions. So this program was set up to pay for temporary housing, cleanup of the damage, sanitizing from the damage, and the repair so that people could move back in. So she claimed that her house was inhabitable. And, come to find out, they started doing digging, and she's been continuing to live in their home. There was no such damage whatsoever.
The home that was supposed to be uninhabitable.
Correct. For her and her husband, they continued living in the home. They come to find out they were looking at the money and how it was dispersed, and she didn't use any of the money for its purposes. So that's a big red flag. So then her husband, Maurice, filed a separate claim for another home that they owned, that it was also unlivable and that it was his primary home. And that was bullshit. So now they're facing wire fraud related to a federal disaster. And there was another one as well. I did wire fraud twice, but that's not the case. Yeah, it was like something else fraud. I mean, it was a big one. I mean, we're talking possibly up to 20 years in prison. And again, this was all discovered by looking at something else.
Yeah, but all the government officials, they're civil servants.
Right.
They're there to protect and make sure the government goes right. There's no fraud. There's no shenanigans happening there.
Right. And again, this is a director of Customs and Border Control. So this is like getting near the top that's pulling this shit off.
Wasn't like she was making $5 an hour.
Right. So, yeah, she's got that going for her now. And then I guess going back to the whole thing with these federal employees that were fired, I need everybody to please sit down, or if you're driving, to pull over to the side of the road, because I know this is a shock.
Shock.
There were 2 federal judges, one in San Francisco, and believe it or not, this is where the car accidents are going to happen if you're not pulled over, from Maryland, that ordered a rehire of probationary employees fired by DOJ. So with this, it's less than 2 years of service. So 2 years or lower, they are to be rehired.
So we're just going to do away with the last hired, first fired.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Employees have no access to their government email accounts, which is nice, because how do they know if they're one of the ones that are going to be hired back?
We don't have any other contact information.
The government call somebody?
I know in my department we have a call list, for whatever else. But anyway.
So what's going to happen is they are going to be placed on administrative leave, which means they're going to get paid for the time that they were not working. So we're going to lose more money on it.
Imagine that.
And then the big argument as to why these 2 federal judges are putting a kibosh on this is that the argument is DOJ can only fire their employees, not federal employees.
But aren't they a federal department?
One would think.
And if they fire their employees, as those are federal employees,
right?
At least last time I checked, if that worked that way.
So, what happens now in San Francisco and also in Maryland, and this is as for now. I'm sure there's going to be other states that are going to jump on this bandwagon.
Barely that.
So at least what happens here in Maryland is there are 4 circuit judges that are going to be picked at random that will listen to the argument on this case. So if they think that, if the majority of them thinks that it's worth proceeding for, then it will go up to a federal court at that point in time. So this isn't something that's going to happen in a week.
So this could be years, possibly.
Months to years, absolutely.
So these people who
unfortunately were let go.
Unfortunately let go, but possibly could have been let go at any other time for whatever reasons, lack of performance, whatever, within their 2 years of what do you call it? 2 years of probation. But now they're locked in.
Right.
And we got to pay them for as long as this takes.
Right.
Oh, there you go.
So the other argument is, just because they're brought back, can they be fired again?
I would say they probably can. However, I would say it's probably going to be extremely difficult to do so.
It would have to
once you bring them back.
There is an article, I forget, like 187 or 189 or whatever, that can be sent through, I guess, the House. I have to get some more details on it, but that can be the reason that people were let go. I mean, it's never come into play until this point in time.
Yeah, well, it's kind of one of those things where I heard somebody describe it as flicking on the light and watching the cockroaches scatter.
But
right?
Don't kill them.
But don't go. Now, is it probably the best way to do it and just taking a swath? It may not. But when you have a system that is broken as much as this one is, and to think that you're going to have people, if you task them to look at the fraud, look at employees that are duplicating efforts, maybe different branches that are duplicating the same effort, to have somebody take a look at that. But the people that you would have look at it it's like having the fox in the hen house.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to come up with anything that's wrong, because then I'm going to lose my job possibly, and or lose budget and or money, and then my promotion and blah blah blah.
Right. It's a slippery slope.
It's a slimy cesspool.
I don't know. It's funny how, the representatives and everybody are like, oh, we need to cut spending and blah, blah, blah. And then you finally get a president that wants to do this. And it's like, no, I think we're going to take a hard pass on this whole thing, because now you're starting to find out what's recently happening, but forget about how long this has gone on for.
Yep. Well, we want to look at it.
Right.
However, we want to look at it, slowly. We want to kind of really assess things. Well, weren't you supposed to be doing that because even Obama talked about that he's going to start eliminating fraud. Had it in his State of the Union address. Nothing ever happened.
No.
So okay, so when are you going to allow it to kick in?
Right.
Rather than with Musk and Trump, who just take the nuclear option, boom, and then see what's left standing.
Right.
I'd rather go nuclear option.
Yeah.
At least something's moving.
Right. So I don't know. I mean,
I still wish we'd go to flat tax and then whack the IRS. The IRS's budget's like, I don't know, forget how many billions of dollars.
I want to know how many billions of dollars that they write out there and waste.
Well, I got to spend time at home to do my work, although I'm not really doing anything. But hey, at least I'm getting paid.
Yeah. So my mom used to work when she was alive. She worked for Social Security, and she was an auditor. And she would go through. Now, her biggest thing was payroll. Like, she would look through the payroll to make sure that, so-and-so said they were here for this week, and we want to make sure that they were there. I remember a couple times that she said somehow employee A called out sick on Tuesday, but somehow employee A punched in and out on Tuesday.
Hmm.
So they got double paid for sick leave, and then also for working that full 8-hour day.
Which I don't think anybody went back and checked. At least not until this happened.
Yes, she found it. She found these, but nothing ever happened. The employee was never fired. The money never, was deducted on the next paycheck from these people. So it was like, it was like pissing in the ocean. It
Freebie.
Doesn't make any sense. And this was back in the 80s.
Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that you got to understand. And I understand there's going to be some collateral damage, and I'm not saying I like that or agree with it. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you wait and depend on these bureaucrats and even these managers, these government employee managers to do something, it's not going to happen, because if it would, they would have done it already, or at least in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
But they don't want to give up their budget. They don't want to give up their power. See, everything in this world like this comes down to a pocket situation. It's always a pocket situation, It's just ridiculous. And, you look at, and I'm like a crazy comparison. You look at back when Jesus was crucified, and the Pharisees and Sadducees. It wasn't because he was kind of disrupting how they thought that the law should be. It's because by what he was saying was eliminating. He said, you don't need these guys anymore. You can interpret or your own, and you pray through me. That's the only way to get to the Father. And they're like, whoa, wait a minute. Now we're the leaders here, and whatever. So it came down to losing their power, their wealth, everything. And it came down to a pocket situation, which everything eventually does. Wars usually turn out to a pocket situation. all this other stuff, murders and stuff. Which, speaking of which, and we don't get into it, have you seen all the crazy shit now with the cartels? They basically have an Auschwitz.
No shit.
No shit. They found there was like a camp where they were. So they talked about the article, and we could do a show on this, and maybe we should. And they had, it wasn't like the piles of shoes like the Jews. It wasn't like millions.
Right.
All right. But they had these just rows and rows and rows of shoes lined up, and they're talking about they found there were cremation pits and cremation thing where they found tons of like bone fragments, burnt, all this stuff, and they were like, I mean, dozens
Wow.
and dozens, like hundreds.
Wow.
Of, I don't know, rivals, people who I guess didn't, help them in their drug trade or whatever. So this is the cartels, bro, and it's like they had an Auschwitz there. So, plus they're trying to, really kind of bang on the border here, where Trump's saying, hey, I'm gonna start deploying troops.
Right.
And I'm just gonna fuck your shit up. But it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
That's crazy.
And unfortunately, the previous president of Mexico and now the present one, I can forget her name, they're both very heavily influenced by the cartel and are in the pockets. So that's probably something we should do, because there's a lot of shit out there about the cartels.
Wow.
And what's coming over the border and how it's coming over. Crazy shit, dude. Crazy shit. Now they're finding burn pit, where they're just
Burn pits,
executing
yeah.
people.
Jesus God.
And then getting rid of them.
Wow. Yeah. And I don't know. My God. You think the gangs in America are tough? MS-13. I wouldn't mess with them.
Yeah, but they're still working for the cartel. They're trying to get in go with the cartels to do their dirty work up in here.
Right.
And the Venezuelan
Oh yeah, those guys too.
gang. So
Jesus.
yeah. Maybe we should do it. Maybe we should do a drug. Maybe we should do a.
I thought you were getting ready to say a drug show. Like,
Let's do a drug show. Maybe we should do a show on the cartels and this whole and how that influence does, or how the influence they have, and how a lot of the trafficking is being done by the cartels, and these quote unquote children are not given to their parents; they're given to other
right.
cartel members or cartel sympathizers. So it's like, bruh.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be an interesting to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Might have to do that.
Some crazy shit, man. Crazy ass shit.
Crazy. Well, all right then. You think we can wrap this up?
I think we can.
All right.
I'll have to rehydrate,
Yes.
and then we'll be busting up some two Neanderthals with audio. Or maybe we should do it with no audio again. Maybe that's the new shtick. You got to figure out what the hell we're saying.
I don't even remember what the hell I said, and I was the one that was a part of the show.
Oh, I can't remember what the hell I said. That
Lord
was
have mercy.
2 weeks ago, and that was an hour worth of dialogue that I can't remember. But
Anywho. All right. Thank you all for coming in. Thank you all for joining us. Please like us, subscribe. You can catch us on many, many different outlets now when it comes to getting your podcasts. G-Man has done a lot of work on that. Thank you very much. So I don't think there's pretty much anywhere that you can't hear from us.
Nope. We're everywhere.
Scary.
We're everywhere. And especially with the Neanderthal one. We're cranking that one out, like I said, and that one is, you can get it on Apple you can get it on just anywhere you can get podcasts. You can get it, Amazon, Spotify, whatever it is. I mean, there's tons of podcast things out there. You can find it there.
Gotcha.
Everything. Find it. Go look for it.
Everything.
And see, and do that. Cheers, Mega Dog. Thanks for joining us. But you guys definitely go check out the go check out the.
Not that guy.
Yeah, check him out too, because he's a piece of shit. But yeah, go check it out and give us some feedback. Let us know what you think of it. Like I said, it's
interesting.
a little bit different from what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And just be interested in how it's going. So
Absolutely.
inescapable.
You got that right. So thank you again to everybody. I want to thank all of the men and women that are out there. Ambulance. Totally ambulance. People in the healthcare industry, firefighters, police officers, everybody out there, military that have sacrificed time with their family and have sacrificed limbs to keep us safe and to fight for America. Thank you all, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Total Recall. 2 weeks.
What did I do? Oh, look at me. I'm Harry Potter. All right, so.
And the slippery slope goes down. All right, everybody. Peace out. Be safe.
Adios. Where's my button? Where's my damn button?
There's a one that says stop streaming.
Well, first I need to do the outro. Oh, there's the outro. All right.
See ya.
Night, guys. Try to be a bit more grumpy next time. Dutch will try to be a little more grumpy.
Oh, here we go.
Ah, shit.
Here we go, boys.
Okey
Drop
doke.
the gloves.
There we go. Adios.
Adios, amigos.